Hello, hello, hello. Today is Wednesday, and it is another day that God has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Welcome, welcome to another episode of T.Wade's To the Point. My name is T.Wade, author, songwriter, singer, poet. I do a little bit of everything, but today I am your host. And today we're going to talk about something that is very, very important. So we're going to get to the point. Today, I wanted to talk concerning when a woman's fed up. For a lot of you that know me, you know that I look at both sides of the coin. For those that know me, you know I really do advocate um, for women and men alike. Just because I'm a man doesn't mean I don't advocate. Doesn't mean I don't strive to be, what those would consider to be fair. And I am fair on things, but there's a lot of things I see and a lot of things that I tell people on a regular basis. Yeah, this might get me kicked out of the men's club. I got to keep it real. I got to keep it professional. I've got to keep it, you know, I got to keep it real. It is what it is. I got to keep it real. Let's let's keep it to the point. I got to keep it real. So today we're going to talk about when a woman's fed up. We want to talk about and it's funny because R. Kelly made this song. And in the song, pretty much he said when a woman's fed up, there ain't nothing you can do about it. And there are a lot of things that men tend to do when a woman's fed up. It seems to be at that point in time where men tend to see what it is that they've done wrong. They tend to see what it is that they tend to see what it is that they're losing at that moment. So the question becomes why? Why is it? And my wife tends to ask me that quite a bit. She tends to ask me, okay, Tony, how come it takes men until up until the point where we're fed up to actually turn it around and get it right? There are so many questions. There's so many questions and answers to that. It's hard to just zero in on one little factor. There are things that are just, I mean, in all honesty, when you're looking at it, I mean, there are different reasons, different causes and effects for different things. Um, Now, as a man, and I've been there, which is why my wife was able to ask. I keep it real. I do. I keep it real and to the point with you. So, in my marriage, I've had situations where I pushed boundaries. Like, okay, she's upset. Maybe she's telling me or she has told me that things are kind of off for her or things don't work for her the way that they are. So then I have to say to her, well, okay, can we please try this again? Can we work on this? Can we do what needs to be done with this? Because to make this work, because I start to realize what I'm about to lose if I hadn't, if I didn't get it fixed. And she's taken it she's taken what I've said and she's trusted that I'm going to work on it. But the point is that I had to get there. I had to literally, she had to get where she got in order for me to get where I had to go. And sometimes that can be unnecessary. There are things that, I mean, even spiritually, there are things that God will let you go through to get you to a point. Um, Relationships can be the same. You might not be able to see it at that point, but yes, with things that she's trying that are going on in a relationship, she really wants you to chime in and do what needs to be done. We don't do it. As men, I don't know why. I don't know why we don't do it. I don't know why it is that we have a problem with being able to do things from jump. I can't speak for all men either, but for myself, it became a problem where I didn't necessarily. I can't say that I didn't see it because she told me. Um, we Women will take all that they can take until they can't take anymore. Then a switch will flip. When that switch flips, when it does, now the woman is at a point like, okay, I'm done with this. Now we start to see what we might lose, and there are different reactions. Some men get angry because the woman is like, I'm done, I'm fed up, like I can't work, I can't do this. So we get angry. Now we want to look at what the woman's done. Like, what? Well, you got your faults too. You know, what if I'm done? But men don't normally say, you know what, I'm fed up. You know, when a man is fed up, like this is what it is. No, women are more apt to be done with things when they come about. Like women are more apt to, how do you say? Women are more apt to turn the page, so to speak, close the book, go about her business. But why is that? What are we doing that's causing her to flip a switch? What are we doing that's causing her to say, I'm done with this? What are we doing? Like at some point, we should know what we need to do. We've talked, if you've done it the right way, you've talked to your other half. You've come up with guidelines towards how things are going to work in a relationship because you've had a conversation, and we've been preaching this for a couple months now. Like, it's men and women, when they get together in a relationship, the first thing they need to do is have a conversation, make everything plain, clear, to the point. And a lot of couples don't do that. My wife likes to say, we have those relationships now where you go to the club, you meet somebody, next thing you know, okay, now that you're now that we've been at the bar, shared a couple of drinks, now we're boyfriend, girlfriend. That's not how that's supposed to work. We're supposed to get together, we're supposed to have conversation on how things are supposed to work in a relationship. We're supposed to talk about what expectations are, where you're going. And we tend not to do that. And because we don't do that, we run into obstacles later. Women tend to, in my viewpoint, and it's just my viewpoint, but women tend to, every now and then they will, I'm going to be bold with this, I'm going to be to the point. They tend to settle. And they'll settle for a while on the things that we're doing that aren't necessarily making them happy. They're not necessarily making them feel good about being where they, being in this relationship, and they're second guessing it, and they're giving us clues. A man does not. Sometimes we're guilty of not understanding or seeing what the clues are. Every now and then we're not. But again, we press forward. We do what we gotta do. But it becomes a situation where we need to understand that when a woman is doing everything she can to hold on to it, like we need to step in and do what needs to be done. There are some men that don't do that. I can't speak for all of mankind, but I am going to speak from a man experience. And I know for me, I have stepped out there and been that person who, I'll do things and then we'll complain. We had arguments about things and then turn around and keep, a month later doing it again. Like, and these things would wear emotionally on my wife. They would wear her down. Like she'd be like to the breaking point. She's like, I love you so much, which is what it is. I love you, but do I want to keep doing this? Do I want to keep going through this over and over again? Like I've expressed myself more than once, more than twice, more than three times. So at this point, what do I do? Now when my at the point where my wife had got upset, I decided I was gonna have to do something about it. I did. I decided I was going to have to look at me, not just her. I was gonna have to, you know, I was gonna have to look at what I was dealing with And it's not easy to look at yourself in the mirror and say, Michael said it best, I'm looking at the man in the mirror, but a lot of times it's hard for us to do. It's hard, especially for men. It's hard for us to look in the mirror and see our faults. Like, we don't want to. We're supposed to be the strong ones. I mean, that doesn't automatically translate into us being correct, but that's how it ends up getting taken indirectly. So I don't know. I don't know why we always seem to not want to look at the situation as a whole and look at our take step back and take a look at ourselves. But that's what we need to do as men. If you have a woman who loves you to death, you know, if you have somebody who's there who really loves you, you should be putting your best foot forward to work it out. You should be putting your best foot forward to make sure that this woman that you say you supposedly love, you're all in for. And that entails us as men looking at ourselves from the outside, looking at ourselves and saying, okay, what can I change? You know, if she's not happy, I need to recognize this woman that I'm saying I love is going through something. So what do we do? What do I do to help this situation? Because our job should be to protect that first. You know, that's our first job. Like, when you get somebody, you love them, you want to protect them, you want to help them, you want to be there for them. And if you're not established in that way with your partner, then there's a problem. um, we tend to look at it and it all becomes about self. We look at the mirror in a different way than what we should. Half the time we don't look in the mirror, but when we do, we're looking at ourselves concerning our inner selves, what we want, not so much what our companion wants. And, you know, like, this is why you get some men, they'll go and they pretty much like have something home, but they'll go play in somebody else's yard, you know, where the grass is supposedly greener. But at the end of the day, um, we know as men, I'm going to keep it real with you. As men, we know what we want. We know what we have at home. At this time, I'm going to stop and I'm going to welcome in Diamond Butterfly, aka Kaixa Rodriguez, to the conversation. How you doing? How you doing, Kai? How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I just hopped in because I wasn't sure if you knew that there were people waiting in the background. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew we were there because I wasn't sure if you thought your guests could just hop on themselves or if you knew you had to bring them onto the stage. So I just wanted to hop on and let you know that. But I'm also here for the conversation. You know what I mean? I'm also here to be like, hey, people. I'm definitely here to for the convo as well. When a woman's fed up is,
Yeah,
it's
I know I have a couple of guests. I know that LSG was so she was in the wait,
yep, she's still there. Yep, she's still there. And
and
Dominique is
like we have, I had know that there are people there, so I wanted to make sure I could get them in.
yeah, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that you knew because I know you're not very hands on, so I wasn't sure if you saw. She had LSG had sent you a message that was like, "Hey, just want to make sure you know we here." So I wasn't sure because I know we went over a few things, but I just wasn't sure. So I just wanted to let you know that your people are here. There, whenever you are ready for them to join, they are here. Oh my goodness! But yes, I've shared you out a little bit, to make sure that people know we are here because this is a very interesting, not very interesting, but very needed, hot topic. When a woman's fed up, like we don't just get fed up overnight. We don't just start yelling and screaming the first time we ask you to take the trash out. It don't happen like that. Everybody want to claim women are crazy, especially women of color are
Yes.
crazy, and we doing all of this, but we don't do it the first time. Like there's several posts that are like after, a woman will first treat you how she wants you to treat her. So she's going to do all the things for you that's in her heart. She's going to treat you with love. She's going to treat you with respect. She's going to treat you with kindness. She's going to, prepare your food. Whatever is in her heart to do, she's going to do it. When you
Yes.
don't respond in kind to any of that type of stuff, then
Yeah.
she starts treating you the same way you treat her, or she starts treating you nonchalantly, and then that's when you start to pick up on, well, why you ain't doing this no more, and why you ain't doing that no more, blah 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 blah. It's like, because you didn't appreciate me when I was doing that stuff. There were no thank yous. You thought it was like my job to do that stuff. And like, you say thank you to the waitress for bringing you your food, but I'm your girl and you don't say thank you for making your dinner. Like, you just want your dinner.
That was your that was your job. That was your job.
Okay, James Evans Jr.
At this time,
Senior.
I want to welcome in LHG, who's part of the team. I love you for coming in. Thank you so much, sis. You are awesome.
My pleasure.
I also want to introduce y'all to a very special lady. She helped me out in the past couple of weeks. Oh my goodness, this woman is full of heart. She's truthful to the core. She's got a clean sweetheart. I want to welcome to the panel Dominique. I'm saying that right?
It's all right. It's Dominiqua. It's close enough.
Dominique. Okay.
Good evening,
How about I call you
everybody.
D? How about I call you D? How about that?
That's fine. You call me D.
Okay.
That's fine. Or Ness, either or.
See, I try to make it simple and to the point.
Right. Straight to the point.
Straight to the point. Okay, so we've heard from my wife, who's very candid, very direct and to the point. But LHG,
Yes, sir.
tell me, at what point should we realize a woman is getting fed up? Like, R. Kelly did say it best. Like, I can't make any other reference. I'm not trying to
he
promote.
said it best. I'm not gonna say he said it best.
Come on now.
He said,
I know. That's why I didn't say no name. That's why I didn't say no name.
Listen, it don't matter. Listen, it don't matter what his name is. The song set it off for a lot of men and was an anthem for a lot of women out there. Let's keep it to the point and truthful.
But let me tell you this: before there was a R. Kelly, there was a Queen Latifah. Latifah was had it up to here. Give it to a queen. Yeah. I got it. I mean, come on. That was a whole vibe. That's kind of where my man went back to the 90s. Like,
I have to excuse myself for making that vital flaw.
Stop it.
Because she did. She tore it up. She
tore it up. And I think just when I was thinking about this topic coming into it, I thought about how in that era, the Queen being one of the greatest female rappers on the planet and opening up the door for so many other people, how she had to come in kind of rough, like, don't think you can just, start rumors about me and just push me off like a mosquito. No, I'm up in this thing, So I feel as though, and let me also, I took some notes while you were giving your intro.
Okay.
I appreciate your advocacy for women, T.Wade. Let me put that out there and be very clear. I do appreciate that. I appreciate your fairness. One thing I have learned about you in the time that we have been working together as Trailblazers hosts is you are very fair. I think you take into consideration all perspectives. I've never heard you be one-sided, not one time, ever. And that doesn't always happen because a lot of men come in with that, hey, kitchen and the bedroom. They come in like kind of rough and tough, but I appreciate you for how you are fair and you listen. When it comes to a woman being fed up, it's not always the man's fault. A lot of times the woman is fed up because she's allowed some things to happen because of her own issues. I feel, and this is just me being freshly divorced. I feel sometimes even going back into the dating or data collecting phase, a person with low self-esteem will accept tolerate, allow stuff that a established woman that has a good self-image probably wouldn't take or would ask more questions about. Okay.
Right.
Me having been married later in life in my 40s and now divorced at 48.9, I'll be 49 next week. I can look back and say, I married a good guy. I just didn't seek God regarding marrying him. I decided, look, God, you busy. He's here. I'm here. Grew up together. Good guy. I'm a good woman. Everything else will just fall into place once we just get down this aisle and get things popping. That's not how life works. It seems very fairy tale-ish to feel like, he's a good person. I'm a good person. I could change him. I could mold him. I could make him. No, honey, you can't change nobody but yourself. So some of that being fed up, a lot of it can be self-inflicted. A lot of it could be, I really didn't take my time and get to know who I am. Some of us as women don't even know what we want. We've been so in tune to everybody else's needs. So in tune to what the kids need, what this person needs, what the job needs, that our own needs, desires, our love language sometimes gets kind of pushed back. And a woman needs that time to get to know really who she is in her singleness, so that when she does head down the aisle, she's heading down that aisle with some level of security in herself. An insecure woman is a dangerous thing. Because that insecurity can turn into desperation. It can turn into a lapse of judgment. It can turn into, I'll just let you do whatever you want to me, but then I'll get mad at you and fuss at you. No, because if you are saying to that man, I don't like this, I don't appreciate this, let me explain some things to you about me, and there's a dialogue going on, and that person is listening, then you shouldn't have to do a whole bunch of screaming and hollering. Many of us were raised by very strong, very boisterous, very aggressive women. I was raised by a very strong, aggressive mama who on a daily basis yelled at my dad, my stepfather, who I call up my dad. I'm just being real tonight. That was her personality. She was always upset about something about what he didn't do. Now, mind you, could he have stepped up and done some things? Yes. But if you've been with him all these years and knowing he is not the kind of person to be an initiator, why are you still yelling? You still with him? Apparently, maybe he's just not the kind of go-getter that you might be. So maybe you have to sit down and say, here's a list of things that need to happen, honey, while I'm at work. Go ahead and take some chicken out. Go ahead and take some vegetables out. We have to kind of work with what we got. If you pick the person and you rolling with them, you can't create another you.
Say that again, please. Please say that again. Please say that again.
A duplicate of you. And I had to be told that. I was told that in my job, like, okay, LHG, you're thinking that your team members are going to be little LHGs. I said, well, what's wrong with that? It worked for me. No, everybody is their own individual. Let people be who they are, where they are. If you're going to roll or you're going to roll out. So the whole woman being fed up phenomenon is what I'm going to call it. It can happen a couple different ways, Brother T.Wade, because speaking for me, when I think of fed up, I think I'm tired of this. I've always said, do this, do this, do this. You can't go into a marriage being a man's mama. Although you might think his mother didn't do a good job. That's not your job to erase her parenting and create a whole nother set of parenting skills on her behalf. Right. You're there to be a helpmeet, not a mother, not a trainer. And my husband told me that I am a trainer by trade in my job. He says, I'm not your student. So if you come to me with an itinerary, at 10 o'clock, we got to talk about finances. At 10:15 is prayer. And at 10:45, it's time to go to bed. What kind of response you think you're going to get? He's not 12. So sometimes this woman fed up thing comes from an approach that we have towards men or towards relationships that's coming from a indoctrination that came way before that man came in our life. I watched my mama run everything from the boardroom to home. She ran the church. She ran, and I didn't know anything else but to be in that role of leader. Make sure he knows, by the way, I'm going to say this, make sure that man knows, yeah, I love you, but I don't really need you. Who came up with that? You want a man so bad, but you get him just to tell him you don't need him? To me, that's a wrong ideology. No, we should need each other. There should be something that we need and long for from each other. This whole, I'm an independent woman, I got it. Yeah, you had it, and good for you. And my husband told me, ex-husband, I saw you grinding. I saw you raise a baby by yourself. That's what attracted me to you. You ain't got to remind me that you're independent, child. I'm here to take some of the load off. But I took it as, I ain't no damsel in dang gonna be stressed. That's how I internalized that. Come on. And look at
what society tells us.
It's like, I wish I would have, even in the beginning of the marriage, made it clear to him, I'm not perfect, but I want you here. I need you here. It's not weak to say we need our man. He might need to hear that. My ex-husband's love language was being needed, being wanted, appreciated. Thank you for putting gas in my car, boo. Thank you for making sure I ain't never had to buy groceries because you always been doing it since we was dating. Thank you. So my fed up, to be honest, a lot of it was my fault. Because I
hadn't looked at it. I have to thank you for that, because I haven't looked at it in that way. Because again, being an advocate and everything, I can only see it from a man's perspective. You know what I mean? Like I can look at it from a woman's perspective, but I'm not a woman. I'm looking at it and speaking from the man perspective on things, and I'm looking at it, but I'm looking at it in reverse. You get what I'm saying? So it's for me, I'm looking at both ends. I'm like, okay, so brother, what could you have done? But with that being said, D, I have a question for you. Do you think women ask for too much then in a relationship?
Ooh.
D, can you hear me?
She's trying to unmute.
Oh.
I can hear you.
Hold on. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, great. Sorry, the signal's a little choppy. Can you repeat your question for me?
Okay, the question was, do you think that women expect or ask for too much in a relationship? And I mean, that's a broad question to ask, because every woman is different. So maybe I need to rephrase that.
That is true. I mean, it depends on some women. Yeah, that's a tough one. You just got straight to the point.
There it is.
It depends. Like some women have way more standards or higher standards than the average person. So I think it's not necessarily ask for too much. It's like more so knowing what you want. You know what I mean? Knowing yourself and what you want.
That's good.
But also sometimes that can hinder you as well too with those expectations, because when you have so many, it's like you're not guaranteed to get that. Sometimes you have to compromise and be willing to settle for certain things. You know what I mean? But not all the way settle, but you know what I mean.
Now, see, that was my next question. That was my next question then. Why do women settle? Why do women settle?
I would be the pot calling the kettle black if I were to answer that, because I'm that type of person that, in my past, I have settled or have tried to be content with certain things to make things work, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to give up on something and I was going to ride it till the wheels fell off
Yeah.
and did the best that I could. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, and it's see, you got me stumped right now. I wouldn't know how to answer that because I'm trying to figure that out myself. Like, why do I settle for certain things? You know what I mean? So that would be good to hear uh anybody else's opinion on that, because that might actually help me. You know
Because
what I mean?
if I'm correct, and y'all can correct me if I'm
I'm
wrong,
being
right?
honest.
I can speak for my wife. And we've already heard from you and know that you've had to settle. That was your personality, and I know the past plays a lot. LHG, same thing with you. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that everybody on this panel has had to settle at some point. Not
Mm-hmm.
had to settle, but did settle.
Mm-hmm.
Chose
Which is
to.
yeah, which is a big question for me. The big question, the one word that haunts me and has for a while, even with women,
Mm-hmm.
especially with women in my head, is
Mm-hmm.
why? Why have you
I
settled?
got a one word answer for
Go
you.
ahead.
What is
Fear.
it?
Fear.
I like that.
I just did a series. I started a series on why we settle. I'm doing part 2 probably next week. A lot of it is rooted in fear. When you are afraid that I'm getting too old, this won't get any better. I gotta grab this right now. This is the only time I could have this. It's a fear factor because you feel like if I just say no to this, what if nothing else comes my way? What if this is the best man I could ever have? What if this is the best job I'm worthy of? What if this is the best life I can ever live? And if I
Yeah.
say no to this, where does that lead me? It's a fear factor. It's really rooted. It's a layered response. But to me, the foundation and the crux of it is always fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of uncertainty, fear of being by yourself, fear of being out of money, fear of being, it's really rooted and grounded in fear, brother. Fear has become the human
That's
kryptonite.
interesting.
We make so many ratchet decisions simply out of fear. Fear is the enemy's probably best weapon against us. I mean, the Bible even says that God hasn't given us a spirit of fear. It exists, but it did not come from God.
Right.
So why do we entertain it if we know the origin of it isn't godly? I'm afraid that I won't be as successful as she is, or I won't be able to lose these pounds. I won't be attractive at 50. It's fear. When we start to explore and eradicate fear and walk in our true power that comes from our creator, God, we will make more sound and godly decisions. People move impulsively out of fear.
Yeah.
I'm one of those people. I have settled in every possible area, job, relationship, because I didn't feel worthy, good enough, strong enough that someone would listen to me, read my book, watch my podcast. Fear.
Yeah.
Fear.
Yeah. Insecurity goes right along. I was going to say
Yeah.
insecurity, but insecurity goes right along. And I think that I think that all comes from our past. It starts with our past, either our upbringing. I know for me, I did not have those childhood memories. Like some people have those parents who told them you can be anything, you can do anything,
Yes, Tab.
encourage them that no matter what you want, oh, you like to draw? Here, I'm gonna get you all the crayons and all the pencils. You know, you like to sing, I'm gonna send you to all the schools, and you want to be a football player. Some people had that growing up, or they had that teacher,
Yes.
or they had that whatever. I didn't have that. I
Okay.
bounced around from house to house, from this person, this family member. So I wanted stability so bad.
Yeah.
And I was literally told, you are not wife material by
Whoa.
my family. You are not
Whoa.
wife material. So I was looking for stability. I was looking for love, and I was going to prove them wrong. Somebody was going to wife me. And
Come
I was
on.
going to stay
And did.
like you said, D, until the wheels broke off. But at the same time, the fear of me getting hurt, I was going to leave them before they left me. So
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
stay long, but I was
Yeah.
you can go. I always had my own place. I wasn't living with nobody.
Yeah.
So you can go. You can go. Start going wrong, you could go. And as badly as I wanted a long-term relationship, I
Yes.
couldn't keep one. 6 months, 2 months, 3 months. I think my longest was like a year before Tony. 15 years we've been together
Mm.
every day. 15 years, and I still tell him I'm waiting for him to walk
Mm.
out the door. Still waiting.
Mm.
He wifed me. I got what I wanted. What I'm scared of, like you said, fear. What I'm still scared of.
Right.
I got what I wanted. What I
Yeah.
supposedly wanted. Right. I
Yeah.
wanted to prove them all wrong. Ha ha. Somebody wiped me.
Mhm.
You was wrong.
Mhm.
Here we are, long-term relationship, and I'm
Mhm.
still every day like just waiting for that other shoe to drop, waiting for that other
Mhm.
shoe to drop. So fear, fear, fear,
Yeah.
fear, and like D, and I think either D or LHG was saying we don't know ourselves. If you didn't
Mhm.
have that strong parental, I can't think of the word, but if you didn't get that foundation
Yeah.
as a child to
Foundation.
really, yes, to upbuild
Mhm.
you, people, it's called self-confidence, but it's
Yes.
imparted in you when you were young. And if
Yes.
you were just beat down as a child, no, you do not grow up with self-confidence. You don't have it.
Mhm.
People are like, oh, nobody can give you. So yeah, your parents are the one that are supposed to impart that in you first.
Absolutely.
And then as you
Absolutely.
grow up and as you go on, now you have this and you know who you are and you're strong and you're not going to
Yeah.
let nobody
Yeah.
you're not going to take no mess because your dad has shown you what a strong man
Yeah.
is and your mother has shown you what a strong woman is, and they've imparted this wisdom and this love, so you don't have to be out there searching for love because
Yeah.
you were given love. You know what love is. You don't got to be searching for it.
Yeah.
And when you didn't have it, and if you come from a bad parent, family dynamic, you either do what you saw or you run the opposite way. So
Yeah.
some people are
Mhm.
thinking, well, this is just my mom had, abusive partner, so that's just what love is. If
Been there.
auntie and uncles and everybody else, if this is the family dynamic everywhere you look, you just
Mhm.
think that, oh, TV, people do good on TV, but that's just on TV. In real life,
Right.
this is what it's like.
Right.
So there's a lot of dynamics as to
Mhm.
why women stick, and it's not just women. We always talk about women, but men do the same thing.
Yes.
Men can stay in bad relationships too. There's not people. Men just don't want to admit that they were in a bad relationship, that the
Right.
woman was abusive to them, that the woman was controlling to them, or the woman was taking, doing stuff wrong. Because women, we could be just as nasty and dirty,
Oh,
low down
listen.
as men
Yes.
can be.
Yes. And for a man, it's probably more of an ego thing. He can't go out here and tell people that woman physically harmed him
Right.
or was abusive emotionally to him. That might be we're more apt to speak on it more than a man would, because now his manhood is getting ready to be challenged.
Right.
And you crying too? What, stop all that crying. What's wrong with you? Toughen up, man up.
Right.
But we both, like you said, Kat, we both, men and women, have allowed things to happen. I have a friend of mine, learning more about his past, I realized why he tolerates so much, because in his dating history, he was always cheated on. So if you're always cheated on, or you're always the one that's put in the friend zone because of your size, maybe you're not the most attractive one in the bunch, and I've been there, you always like, well, I'm just going to deal with it because I can't get anybody else.
Right.
So you have that stigma on you where, you're a big guy. You better be glad she likes you, or you're a big woman. You better be glad. I dealt with that. I dealt with that. And to your point, Kai, one of the reasons why a lot of us don't have that consistent level of self-esteem is the village has dissipated. It was mom, dad, grandmama, big mama. We had the big mama show. It was the aunties. It was the pastor. It was the teacher. It was all of these people in the neighborhood. Reminds me of Sesame Street. These are the people in the neighborhood. They're walking down the street. We don't walk down the street.
Right.
We don't even know who lives next door. So there
No.
were these consistent messages when a child in the community was doing something big, graduated, it was streamers all over the place. It was ice cream and cake. It was, yes, little Ron, he did it. Yes. It was
Yep.
all these consistent messages of congratulations. You're going to be the first one in the family to do this, and this. We got
Yep.
you. I got my food stamps on you. You going all the way, Ron. You're going to
Yep.
be that one. We don't really have that anymore.
No, everybody's jealous of each other now, especially
Oh
within the
my
family.
goodness,
If your
yes.
child is doing football and they're doing good, or your child is on the honor roll and they're,
Mm-hmm.
and the cousin over here, her kids is always in trouble. She's not congratulating you because your child
No.
made honor roll. No, because her kids is always being called to the principal's office.
See?
Or you getting married. She may go to the wedding, but she talking junk about you the whole because she got
Jump.
baby daddy after baby daddy, and her relationships don't last. So she like, yeah, I don't know why she getting married because it ain't gonna last. It's just like, what
Yes.
is going on with the
Yes.
family dynamic? It's and like you said, the neighborhood, we don't even talk to our neighbors, let alone know who they are, which is,
Right.
we've seen all these shows where people be like, I can't even imagine that so and so would be this type of person because we don't even know each other. We don't even know who live on our street.
No, we don't. We don't.
I have a I have a question that falls in line with, because I don't want to go too far into or out of the realm of where we're at. But let's say, okay, so we know that a woman gets fed up, and we know there are plenty of reasons, and we know that a lot of times women settle due to the
Yeah.
fact that there is a fear factor that's in there. Understandable, which I hadn't thought about, because I'm gonna claim I'm gonna claim ignorance on that. Like, I never really understood
Mm-hmm.
why. Like, I mean, one of the biggest ones is if you have a woman who's abused,
Mm-hmm.
even a man per se, but you get a woman. I never understood why, if a woman is getting her behind beat every day
Mm-hmm.
and getting treated like she's a 10th class citizen,
Mm.
and she can't do anything without permission, including leave the house, and she's being verbally abused, physically abused, mentally abused, emotionally abused. With all of that, why does she stay? That's always been my question. Why stay? Why settle for that? Why put up? And then when you ask them, oh, he just had a bad day. He loves me. I know he loves me. He told me he loves me. But with that, there are those situations where there are the men who actually hear, where you don't go through something. I alluded to it in the beginning of my intro. It's like, you have a woman, say for example, a woman who's telling her man, like, this is what is bothering me.
Okay.
Or you have a woman who's in a situation and things aren't flowing right. So she
Mm-hmm.
says to him, okay, I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done. I'm fed up. I'm done. I can fed up. I can't do this anymore. So now you
Okay.
have the man who's fighting to keep the position that he has with her, because, well, he knows what he has at home. And yes, men, you know what you have at home. You know what
Mm.
you have at home.
Mm-hmm.
There's no deny. You know what you have at home, but there's maybe something lacking. And instead of having conversation about it, you're gonna go mess with Susie Jane or
Mm.
Becky or whoever else,
Okay.
But you still want what's at home.
Hmm.
Why does it? And my wife has asked this question to me before. Not only when it was my turn to ride that roller coaster, but even in viewing other things, she's asked, why does it take that? Why does it take the woman saying, I'm done, I'm fed up, I'm done? Why does it take that for a man to actually change? Why does
Hmm.
it take him to make the moves that need to be made because she had to go there? Now,
Wow.
now my question becomes: do I'll ask you, D? Do you think that? Why do you think? Do you think it's lack of communication on the woman's part, or do you feel like they went through this for a while, and it took her getting mad I want to ask y'all if it why a man takes why do you feel it takes a man to make the change at that point instead of any other point before it even got there. So do you think it's due to the man not listening? Do you feel it's there was misunderstanding? What do you think it is that causes a man to want to change at that point and not do what he needed to do prior?
It's a few different possibilities. Like you said, it could be one, lack of communication. You know, also maybe maybe he's used to doing the things that she is now having a problem with. He's used to that, and it was never any consequence for it before. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So now it's like, okay, now it's an issue, and I was doing it before. It's not an issue. Now it's an issue now. So he's probably not taking her seriously or anything like that. But once she gets to that limit where it's like, hey, I'm done. Because women, like we said, we ride it till the wheels fall off. We'll do anything. We'll settle. We'll forgive. We'll keep trying. And they'll, like, in their head, they're probably thinking, okay, she's not going anywhere. If I do this, she's not going to go anywhere. I'm not worried about it. So they become content.
Yeah.
Until that time when they realize and see those signs, like, okay, maybe she's not playing. She might really up and leave my butt. You know what I mean? So, and that's another thing. Signs. There's a lot of people that don't know the signs of when a woman is fed up.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? Like things like their response time for texting you or calls are starting to go down. It's less frequent. She stops arguing with you.
Ooh.
She stops arguing with you. That's the biggest thing.
Take
When she
cover.
stops
Take
saying
cover,
something,
sir.
that's when you gotta worry. Because that means she don't care no more at that point.
Ooh.
She's done.
Done.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
She doesn't care where you go or what you do. Maybe she might want to step out and have a girl's night.
Ooh.
She might want to wear less and go out more. You know what I mean? Like, so there's so many different signs that people just kind of like brush off until the last minute.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So Kaiksa, why do women wait that long? Now I know with you, I'll keep it real. I know with you okay, with going along with the riding the bus till the wheels fall off. I know that you did throw out signs. Now I'm gonna let y'all know, men don't always read signs. And if
Oh.
we do, we read them incorrectly from time to time. Like
Oh
we
my.
do. I've missed so many signs, it's not funny. But Kai, why is it that women wait that long? Like I know they're fed up and they're saying things, but that point where you literally say, "I'm done, I'm fed up." Why does it take that long?
Because because we if we love you, we're not going to say it 2 times and then walk out the door.
That's right.
We're going to give you chance after we may give you, and every woman is different. One may give you 2 chances and be like, I'm not going to give you 3.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Some may give you 6, some may give you 60, some may give you 6,000 chances. It all depends. But she is going to be changing every time you do not pay attention to what she's asked or pay attention to her saying, and you may think it's nothing. Babe, can you put the toilet seat down? Why is she all pissed off because I won't put the toilet seat down? Why is she mad that my socks are in the middle of the floor? Why is she mad that I don't kiss her goodbye, or I don't kiss her goodnight, or I don't, I just hang up the phone and say bye when we talk? But these are little things, and they may not be a big deal to you. But if your woman is telling you, babe, it would be nice if you, or babe, how come you don't? She's telling you something that she needs. And guys like to say, well, she'll never tell me what it is. Yes, she's told you 50 gazillion times. Yeah. You just look at it as her nagging.
Yes.
You call it nagging. But she's telling you what she wants. She's telling you what she needs. She's telling you what's missing in the relationship. And at first, we will do it in very nice ways. And then later on, it may turn to angry, yelling, door slamming. And then all of a sudden, you're like, dang, she ain't mentioned me leaving the toilet seat up no more. she ain't said nothing about me not giving her a kiss no more.
Mm.
And then, she next thing you know, you might come home and she ain't there. Because women go through this stage. We go through like the pleading stage, the baby, how come you don't? We go through the acceptance stage where I guess this is just what I got to live with.
Yes.
And then, we go through the, you know what? Nah, I'm not dealing with this no more stage. And usually that's the time a guy's like, wait, you were serious? You really like, hold on, give me a chance. And most women are like, but I gave, we've been together 15 years. What you mean give you a chance? Like, what are you talking about? Like, and that's always my biggest thing is like when she's asking you nicely, why can't y'all just fall in line then? Like she's not asking you to go to the moon and grab her a star. She's saying, can you open the car door for me? And you're like, you got two arms. But then, be the same thing to be like, when I get home from work, why you don't want to roll over? Because you don't want to that's why.
Because my back hurt.
Or my legs.
Joker, my back hurt.
You know what I mean? It's like, women are always told we're supposed to do whatever our man wants. But who is telling women to do the same thing for no one's telling men to do the same thing for their women. We're always just told to compromise, to be there for your man, to lift up your man, to strengthen your man, to cook for your man, to be the freak in the sheets for your man, to do this. Yes. And you got to take care of the family, and you got to take care of the house and go to work if the family costs. So you got to work, you got to come. I just saw a post that says, why does a woman have to go to work, cook, clean, come home from work, cook, clean, take care of the kids, and the man just gets to come home from work?
Yeah.
He gets to come home from work, put his feet up and chill and relax. She been at work for 10 hours a day too. And now she got to come home and cook and clean and take care of the kids and take care of you. And the world says, well, that's just a woman's job. But why? But why? We are extra tired. Who is refilling us? If you want your woman to do X, Y, and Z, then you should be making sure she is full and all of her needs are taken care of. Because if she is doing 90% of the jobs, taking care of the house, even if she doesn't go to work, you got to clean home when you come home. You got food when you come home. The kids are taken care of. Like that's a full-time job in of itself. You want her to have a full-time job in the house and a full-time job out the house? Make it make sense. And you can't take care of her needs. Nah, she's gonna be out. Eventually, she'll be out. And if she's not, it's because she doesn't think she deserves better.
Absolutely.
And that's what it is. She does not think she deserves better. And if she doesn't think, and guys know, I've told, and me and you have had this conversation. Abusive men, whether they're physically abusive, mentally abusive, users, they know us. They have a little conversation with you, and they know by the words that you say or how you talk, whether you look down or whatever, they know if you're too strong for them, if you ain't gonna take their bull, or if you're a woman who's insecure and they can get over on you. They can tell. That's they gonna talk to you a little bit. They're gonna be like, "Yep, I found me a good one."
Wow.
T.Wade,
can I propose this? And then y'all can tell me what y'all think. I think that we have grossly underestimated the complexity of what it means to take two people's lives and infuse them. And we may date for 6 months to a year. It takes way longer than that to crack the code of a 35-year-old man's life or a 42-year-old woman's life.
Yes.
So it's almost like we don't realize when we are dating, we're specifically conforming to become what that person was. Oh, yes, I fry the best chicken. Oh, yes, I roll over. And we saying all the right stuff, and we're trying to establish this bond, this connection. But this life partnering, this, partnership and merger of two completely different lives is major. And it really does take, in my opinion, God, prayer, maybe some Tums or some ginger ale if you get a little bubbly. Because this thing is really deep. I'm not sure if we even can wrap our mind around this person has lived a lot of life before they met you in a lot of cases, depending on how old
Yeah.
you are. I mean, me being married at 40, it's a lot of years that I have lived my life. And whatever my life looked like, that was like my blueprint. So if you
Right.
approach
Right.
me with something different than what I've experienced, I'm be like, oh no, 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 oh no, that ain't what I know. Well, you don't know everything. So sometimes our closed, narrow minds keep us in the area of not learning a person. Sometimes I can say for me, you mentioned earlier in the show, T.Wade, that you felt like women give up easily. I'm the opposite. If anybody out there has ever had a house foreclosed, it takes a long time. You got to miss several mortgage payments to get to the
Mm-hmm.
point where the dumpster is outside. That's not an overnight thing, because you go through, late fees, eviction. You go through. You can be in foreclosure for years, a couple of years, but that's how
Yeah.
my loyalty is. I hang on there because, as Kai said, when you love the person and you've committed to the relationship, no matter what, it's a beautiful thing. It was a wonderful thing to be able to call my ex-husband my husband, my husband. All my life, I dreamt of and doodled little scribblies and made up little names, because as a little girl, I was brought up to believe, and it's not wrong to believe this, that being married was beautiful. And it is.
Mm-hmm. It
It
is.
is
It is.
beautiful to be able to say we belong to each other. We are in this together. We are building an entire life and a legacy together. It's a beautiful thing. But the one thing I think we failed at as people, parents, community, culture, we did not put an emphasis on, but it takes work,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it takes time. Yes, it's beautiful, but it's more than just a beautiful wedding day, a beautiful dress, suit, food and drinks. It's more than that. And I
Right.
think we have to get back to the fact that some of us have not had the best examples of marriage
Mm.
in our world. Some of us have been brought up in chaotic environments. Some people were brought up in homes where everybody shacked up and nobody ever got married. I thought that mama was married to daddy. Girl, no. Well, I thought that auntie was married to Uncle. Girl, no. They've been together 210 years. They ain't married. Some families just
Yeah.
believed in, hey, come on in. We ain't got to get married. So if you grew up in an environment where marriage was not a priority, you just live together, then when you get ready to date, you might be like, well, getting married for what? My auntie and my
Yeah.
uncle, had 22 kids together and they never got married. So this is a part of the complexity of relationships. And we got to talk more like this. We got to have more open dialogue like this. We got to take time to date and not rush into the bedroom, fieryloins.com. We got to get to the point where we are really willing to dive into, who is this person? Who are you to your core? And can who I am and who you are come together to form a good team? Compatibility. I'm not just talking
Yeah.
about sexually. Now that's a nice thing to be. Of course, you want to be able to have wonderful intercorsations when you are together. But there's other things. I mean, if I don't like you, no, I ain't rolling over. I'm gonna roll out.
Okay. Now, see, and I can accept that. I can take that. But I think that goes back to something that we were talking about a long time ago
Mhm.
on Fred's podcast. Fred, are you there with us today?
CEO, you in the house?
You in the house? Oh, because
Mhm.
basically it goes all the way back to that communication thing. It goes all the
Yes,
way back to communication. I honestly believe before you get with somebody, you have a long conversation. My wife
yes,
does say, I think I said it, my wife does say that, we tend to get together. We like in the beginning when I was talking in the intro, like my wife says, we get together in the club and we have a couple drinks. The next thing you know, when we leave that club, we're a couple. Like there's no dating. There's no
Mm,
taking time out to
okay.
talk to this person. That
Okay.
doesn't exist. Like right now, what we're doing is we're just automatically having couples thing. That might be from the fear factor. Like,
Yeah.
oh, somebody's interested in me, so let me get with them real quick.
Right.
You know
Right. Let
what
me
I
hurry
mean?
up.
Yeah,
Jackpot.
let me snatch them up before somebody else does.
Mm.
When I
Mm.
was when I was just a short story, but when I was seeing my wife, we were dating off and on, and at one point she had asked me to meet her at the club.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I'll meet you at the club. I went with my cousin. She had a couple people she was there with, and there was also this guy that was there that was interested in her, and she
Mm-hmm.
had seen him before. So I'm at the club, and every now and then I'm dancing with her, and we'll have a dance, and then one of us will venture off. I had somebody come to me in the club, and they were like, "Yo, she wants you,"
Mm.
and I'm like, "Okay, well." I mean, not to be funny, but I had already had relations with her. I'm like, okay. He proceeded to tell me, you need to hurry up and take her home.
Oh.
He said, if you don't take her home, she's gonna go home with somebody else.
Oh.
Yeah. And it wasn't that he was privy to information.
Right.
He just knew that she looked beautiful, that she was somebody who needed to be snatched up. So it became
Snatch
that
her up.
let me get her before somebody else does.
Set it
Now,
off.
I didn't take her home that night.
Okay.
Somebody else did. just,
So,
uh,
so he
just
was right. So are you saying he was right after that?
I'm saying he was right, and which goes to that urgency point back in the day. I mean, and I just had a couple of dates with her,
Oh
but he
God.
warned me ahead of time. Look, yo,
Hurry up, bro.
you
Hurry
need to,
up. Hurry
yeah,
up.
because you're gonna lose an
No
opportunity.
waiting on aisle
Now,
six. No waiting on aisle six. Hurry up.
no waiting. Now, here's the thing. Now, when I said in the beginning that men know
Mhm.
what they want, they do. Men
Okay.
will play the role that they don't know what they want, or
Mm.
that they got options. But when they get with you, they know what you bring to the table.
Okay. That's good
Don't
to
let
know.
them tell you they don't. They know what you already bring to the table. Now, some of them know and they abuse that fact. But
Right. Very true.
for
Very true.
me, I knew before I had her in my life like that, I knew what she brought to the table.
That's good.
Because I
Okay.
knew what she brought to the table, when I did not take her home that night, when I did not solidify our relationship that night,
Mm-hmm.
it hurt. I was up all night
Mm.
because this guy's words haunted me, because it was like,
Wow.
okay, I know what she brings to the table.
Mm.
Um, and I know that I didn't act on it tonight. So basically, somebody else did. That hurt me to my core all
Wow.
night long. When I went
Wow,
to her, when
bro.
I went to her house the next day,
Mm.
I went to her apartment. I'm like, I broke down. Like I went in and I was standing in front of her, and I literally want to break down, because I'm like, I don't want to lose out on you. I declared
Wow.
that day I declared my feelings for her. And I
Wow.
should, I'm like, I could, if she doesn't receive this, then I've lost her,
Mm.
because I had an opportunity and didn't take it, and I was warned. So that goes back to the we look at everything as an urgency, or like I need to do something.
But would you have expressed that in that magnitude if the gentleman hadn't said, hurry up because somebody else is going to snatch her? Would you have said, girl, oh, girl,
Yeah.
child, I like you? Would is that what pushed you to say, I got to tell her, I got to speed this
Well,
thing up
well,
because I don't want her to be snatched up?
well. Here's the thing. She put me on notice. Now, my wife is very to the point. So her thing, like she had let me know, even like through dancing with me, she had let me know, I have feelings for you. But I was slow on the draw, pulling back sort of kind of emotionally. Like at that moment, I'm not really throwing myself in. So
Okay.
I know she didn't have a car, so somebody took her home. So
Ah.
I tried. I literally called her when I left the club. I called her later and I tried to converse with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, I tried to talk with you, but you barely wanted to talk. And I'm like,
Okay.
I just, and again, I know what she brought to the table, but I was hesitant. So just the thought of her being with somebody else, it
Mm-hmm.
flipped my world.
Well, how
It
much of
flipped
a
my
time
world.
period was this? Are we talking days, weeks, months?
No,
How long was this acquaintance?
the acquaintance was, it had been actually, I'm gonna be honest, it was an off and on thing.
Okay.
I had been seeing, at that point, I had been seeing her for a few days, like a couple of days or
Okay.
so. But
Okay.
I've known her for years. I had known her for years before then, and we had been
Okay.
an on and off thing.
Ah.
Um, not a committed thing, but an off and
Mm-hmm.
on hookup,
Okay.
and or whatever you would want to call it. And
Right.
through the years, I got to know her. I got
Okay.
to know who she was, what she was, and who her personality was, and it worked for me.
Okay.
But again, it was that, okay, I know what you bring to the table, but I wasn't dedicated enough to commit to that.
Okay.
So I didn't act on it that night, and I did get the message saying
Mm-hmm.
you need to act on this. If you don't, somebody else is.
I mean, he was like,
So,
dude, your coupon gonna expire.
like, he didn't know me
Like,
from a hole in
dude,
the
you're gonna
wall.
have to
Like,
cash this thing in today.
yeah, like I'm at the bar, and this dude literally walked up to me and was tapped me on the shoulder and was like,
Wow.
"Look, this is this, that's that. If you don't act on it." Like, that next day I went to her. That
Wow.
next day I went to her,
Wow.
and I solidified our relationship that day because I'm like, I know what she brings to the table, and I don't want to lose that. So any man that's playing games, and you know, he tries to say, he's not sure, he don't know. He knows what you bring to the table. He
Okay.
knows. He just
Okay.
don't act on it. And the funny thing is, when you get into a relationship, it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing. You're in a relationship now, you're working your thing. Next thing you know, there's a breakdown.
Right.
And he's trying to get with Sally Sue,
Okay.
you know, on the fly. He's getting with
Mm-hmm.
Sally Sue.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows what you bring to the table, but he also knows that you've been hanging in, which is why I asked about the time factor and why it takes so long.
Mm-hmm.
Because with men, if you give them the time, they'll take it. You give them
Mm.
the time, they'll take it. And what ends up happening is plenty of times women give the time and the man takes it. So when you call it quits,
Mm-hmm.
you done busted in with Sally Sue and everything else. He
Right.
still wants to be in the picture. He's not, he in some way, shape, or form is trying to plead his case. Or
Okay.
he's saying, look, like, he's either saying, well, this is your fault, you this, that, and the other. I was going, I got with Sally Sue because you weren't doing this, that, or the other. Okay, but you could have talked that out and you chose not
Yes.
to.
That's
You could have
huge.
patterned it out and you chose not to. Instead, you
Yes.
got with Sally Sue. So now you and Sally Sue are a thing. Now you're caught out there. So you want to reverse the blame. You play
Right.
the blame game. And that's what he did. That's what your man ends up doing.
Right.
And you break up. I guarantee you this is a thing. Like, you break up, 2 weeks
Mm-hmm.
later, he sees you with Johnny Be Good.
Yep. Yeah.
He's mad. He's
Yeah.
mad because you're with Johnny Be Good. Now, he was already caught with Sally Sue. He
Right.
don't want you at Johnny Be Good because now he knows what Johnny Be Good's getting that he had that he no longer has.
And what a double standard that is,
It is a
T.Wade.
double standard. It's a double
What a
standard,
double
and
standard.
it's a double standard, and it's factual. Like,
Oh,
these men do not want you. You see all these horror stories where men kill women. You
yeah.
know, you turn on the news, and Shaniqua was killed,
Yes.
by John because, when he saw that she was on a date with Billy.
Right.
Instead of killing Billy, you kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because you were
Or
jealous
both.
that,
Or both.
yeah, yeah. You were
Mm-hmm.
jealous because of what you saw.
Right.
Men know what men know. Now you left her to
Yeah.
play around with somebody else. You want to
Yes.
play house with somebody else. So
Yes.
why is it wrong for her, but it was okay for you?
Mm.
And men aren't normally the ones that'll be like, you can't say when a man's fed up. We have our moments. Like,
Okay.
again, men aren't the only one that is on that spectrum, but most times I'm gonna keep it real, it's men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a situation where men just, for some reason or another, we had talked about the ratio at one point, I believe. LHG, we had talked about how, there's more women out there than there are men, which
Right.
also I think may play a factor. But we'll play around and know we can, but we know what we have at home. We don't necessarily want to lose it, but we don't want to do what we need to do to keep it.
Wow.
And that's a problem.
But
That's been a
because of
problem.
that way, that is what feeds into the whole settling thing. When a woman has to deal with that and she's like, do I leave them? We got 4 kids together. Okay, it was just one cheating situation. I'm gonna just have to just deal with it because my mama's telling me, girl, don't leave that man. He love you. He a man. This whole excuse of he's a man, as if you all can't control your hormones, as if women are to just allow some of you to do anything and anyone, and we just have to be on the porch with open arms. Come on back, baby. I'm here. It's kind of disheartening, bro. I have to say, I'm a
It
man.
is. It
He's like,
is. And now
no.
consider the fact I am a man.
Yes,
So,
sir.
like, I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, this is not copacetic.
Right.
You see your fellow men doing certain things and you're like, come on now, there's a better way. Now,
Yeah.
they can't be me. I'm not expecting them to be me, and I'm not perfect.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there's some things that to me are logical in a relationship. And I don't think, and my wife has said it, and we've been saying it, I don't think we take the time to communicate before we get into relationships. We
We
don't
don't.
set expectations and ground rules.
Right.
And I think that's what needs to happen when you're talking in terms of being in a relationship. Yeah, there has to be some type of, there has to be boundaries. There has to be some type of conversation. We
Right.
don't have conversation. I think every time we talk about the dynamics of relationships, it
Mhm.
always goes back to communication. And
Always.
it's never had. We
Biggest
go
thing.
back to communication. And I've always been taught without communication, a relationship is dead. There is no relationship without communication. There's
Yeah.
none. But we don't take the time to sit down and have conversations.
Mhm.
We don't. I think I told y'all, my wife told me when I got with her and we were dating, she was like, I'm looking to leave. I wanna leave the city and I wanna go to another state and live.
Okay.
She literally told me, it was to the point, if you don't want to do it, then we can't be together because that's one of the criterias because I'm
That was
leaving.
important to her.
It
Hmm.
was.
That was
So I
important
had
to
to look at that and I'm like, I'm with you. I'm good.
her. Okay.
I'm good because I knew what she brought to the table and I knew I wanted her and I to be that couple. I did.
Right. Right.
So I'm like, okay, fine. But we had that conversation. My wife also told me, you're not going to date me for more than 2 years. I'm not going to be your play toy. I'm
Okay.
not going to play at house. I'm
Okay.
looking to have a relationship. Now, keep in mind what she said, which is basically she's never had a relationship
Mhm.
over a few months or to a
Okay.
year.
Okay.
So with that in mind, she literally told me, I'm not going to be this person that you just play around, play house with.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
not going to do that. She's like, I'm giving you, and this was from the beginning. She's like, I want to be married to you within 2 years. If we're not going to use that as our goal, and if you're
Mhm.
not willing to do that, then we can't move forward. She was very pointed with what she wanted. She
Right.
wasn't mean about it. We had a beautiful conversation about things. And I'm saying, I'm like, okay, I got you. I got you. We weren't sitting there looking at a calendar. Oh man, I got 2 more months. We weren't doing that.
Count down,
But
count down.
right, but she did put that on the table. It's like,
Mhm.
this is the deal. Like, I don't want to play house with you. I do love you. I have no problem
Right,
with being with you.
right.
But make me legal, because not because it's what I want, and because other people, as she had told you, said she would never be wife. But her thing was, I'm not going to do this. I'm
Right.
looking for something solid in my life.
But
You know,
many
so
brothers would not have been able to handle that type of conversation. I'm just going to be honest, T.Wade, because I know we're talking about communication. One thing that was always big for me was security. So,
yeah.
and this is where it could be a slippery slope. On one end, I do want us to get to know each other, but on the other end, I have to know that I'm your woman because
Hmm.
I don't want you dealing with anybody else. So the
Well, doesn't
fears.
that come in with the acts? Doesn't that come in with
Mhm.
what the person is doing, what you as a couple are doing, and what you're working towards, how you're working the relationship?
Yes,
Because every
yes,
relationship takes work on both
yes.
ends.
Hmm.
So wouldn't your security that you're looking for come in the form of action?
It should. It
Okay.
should. But for
Okay.
me,
Just
it came in the form of, okay, we are a couple. I have to hear the words. You are my girlfriend. I am your boyfriend, or you are my woman. I'm your man. There is no one else. I had to hear that.
but
Now,
that
yes,
doesn't secure, as a man, that does not
exactly.
secure your security. Like, it
I
gives
had to
you,
learn
it's
that.
good that I agree with you wholeheartedly, sis. I believe in that. I
Mm-hmm.
think you're 100% correct. At the same time, those words, while he's saying those words to you, Sally Sue is across the street wearing
I
a
had to
halter
learn
top.
that.
And yeah, like, it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
guarantee that you're going to have the security just
Mm-hmm.
because he said the words. It again, it
Right.
goes to me, it goes back to the action. What are you doing?
Yes.
What are
What are
you
you
doing to
doing?
show that
Yeah,
woman
show you.
that,
Show me.
yeah, what are you doing to show
Yep.
that you love her? What are you doing to
Yes.
show that you're there for her? What are you doing to show that you've
Mhm.
got her back through thick
Mhm.
and thin? How,
Right.
what are you doing outside of saying I'm the head? Or what are you doing outside of saying I'm the man? You're
Right.
my woman, period.
Right.
Like, what are you doing? Are you helping her when she's down? Are you there for her when she calls? Are you looking to make sure that she has what she needs?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just about you. A relationship requires two. So what are
Right.
you doing to supply her need? Have you asked her what her
Right.
needs are? Have
Right.
you done that? Like, it's all about the action. The Bible says, without works, faith is dead. You
Mhm.
don't get
Faith without works is dead.
you
Yes.
right. You need works in everything you do. And when
Right.
it comes to showing a woman you love her, you have
Mhm.
to show her. Lip service is cool.
But
Lip
when you
service
got
is
a woman
great.
that's had some rejection and abandonment going back to like father, and maybe like, not maybe, I'll use myself as an example. And my biological dad is alive, and we have a great relationship now. But because of the divorce with him and my mom at a very young age, he would say, I'm coming to get you, and not show. So when you've been stood up and disappointed and abandoned, rejected, sometimes your logic is twisted. For me, I had to have the words. I had to see, just say you love me. I mean, we'll
Mm.
figure it out, but just I have to hear it. It's backwards, it is. Now getting older, I had to realize, well, maybe it's not a bad thing that he don't just say, I love you, I love you, I love you. Does he show you, Tanya? And I had this discussion recently with someone. Like, I may not always say it, but I'd rather show you by being there, by showing up, by, providing or whatever. But for some women, they hold on to some of the maybe the minuscule aspects of it. I have to hear the words because they're dealing
See,
with internal traumatic issues.
right. And that does go back to, like that's going to your past and what your
Mhm,
past entailed.
mhm.
Well, what I men are good at lip service. It's what
Okay,
we're good at it.
Okay.
If a woman says, I love you, when I hear it, I'm like, okay, that's real. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not saying all women are like this, but for the most part, like, if a woman says, I love you, she's saying that from the heart. If a
Okay.
woman says,
Yeah.
I love you, there's a level of commitment to that. Like, because women aren't just, normally they're looking for love. Y'all have that love language that, it's a beautiful thing to see. But when a man says, I love you, like, I'm going to second guess it when I hear it from him.
Okay.
I am,
Okay.
because we don't always understand what that entails for the woman. We don't. Women, women have done above and beyond for years when it comes to men. They've shown that they're more connected to the
Okay.
mature side of things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sorry, guys, I really am, but kick me out the men's club yet again. But hey, women, women are from the heart. Women come from the
Yeah.
heart. They talk through their heart. They feel through their heart. They think through
Yeah.
like they look for the big things ahead of time. I made reference a while back to how little girls who are 5 years old are 5 years old. They're walking around in their mother's high heels. You know what I mean? Like, they're playing dress up and they're walking around because they want to be like mommy. They want to be, you know what I mean? They're having tea parties.
Yes.
They're
Been there.
having pretend tea parties. They're doing all these mature things, and it's like that's at a young age. While in the meantime, the guys are playing with the GI Joes. They're playing with the
Yep.
Tonka trucks. They're outside using their slingshots. Like,
Yep.
there's a difference. There's a big difference, and I don't hear when a man says I love you, like it's something that you second guess. For me, it's a second guess thought. It is. It's like, okay, well, are you sure? Do I believe it? Are you sure? Because there's things that entails
Yeah. Yeah.
that I mean, men think differently. Men
Yeah.
think differently. I had a friend at work. He did the same. Like, he came to me and he was looking all down. I'm like, what's wrong, bro? How you feeling? What's going on? His thing was, yeah, man, you can't win with women. Right off the
Mm.
cuff. I'm like,
Gee.
okay. What's wrong? What's wrong? He's telling me, yeah, I got in a disagreement with my woman. She's telling me I'm not there for her. Okay, why doesn't she feel you're there for her? Well, I go to work. He works the same shift I do, so he's there for 7:30, and he gets out at 6 p.m. Okay, so what are you doing? He said, I leave. Well, after that, I go to the gym. So I get out of work at 6. I go to the gym, and I stay there till 9. How many times a week you do this? 6. Okay,
Mm.
so 6 times a week you go to the gym. 6 times a week. And that's after work. But my wife reminded me that we only work like four days. So my wife was like, well, what's going on with the other 2 days? But basically 4 days out of the week, he's going to the gym.
Wow.
And then when he gets done, he goes home, he takes a shower, he goes to bed. So
Wow.
she doesn't feel she's getting any time
Okay.
from him. And
Okay.
I'm like, well, so I asked him and it stumped him. But I'm like, so tell me, I have a question for you, bro. I said, and just a simple question. I said, you said you go to the gym 6 days a week. He's like, yeah. And this dude is buff, like crazy buff. I'm like, you go to the gym 6 days? Yeah. I said, so
6 days.
6 days.
You ain't
That's
playing.
six. That's 6 days out of 7, right? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, so what time do you give her? If you go to the gym and then you go to bed 6 days a week, what time are you giving her? And he just stood there and stared at me, because that's a thing. That's women are looking for certain things. Men don't understand it. Men, for him, it's like, I'm here. I'm always with her, but you're with her, but you're in bed getting ready to go to sleep to do it all over again the next day. So we don't think like women do all the time. We really
You
don't.
got quite a few
Presence
comments.
doesn't always mean
T.Wade.
present.
Do you want to address these?
Say it again.
You got quite a few comments.
I always do. I'm
Do you
sorry.
want? There's a few very good questions in here. Do you want to address a few of them?
Yeah,
Or
let's
have the
go.
panel?
Yeah, let's by all
Okay,
means.
let's look at this one right here.
Okay, let's go.
Is there a difference between from settling and accepting a reasonable flaw that can be overlooked? Not to me, not really, because if you're settling, that means you're overlooking some flaw anyway.
See, that was my thought process.
By the way, it's a real fine line. It's a real fine line there.
It is, but again, this is the answer to this question is subjective because it's going to depend on the person. Because it's going to depend on whether what they're accepting and what they're settling for. Yeah, but I mean,
there are non-negotiables in every relationship.
Of course.
That's a very good point, Mr. James Henry Taylor the Fifth. If you're still there, thanks for popping in. Fred, you got a couple of comments here too.
Yeah. I don't know why I wasn't getting them. I wasn't even getting. I'm not getting any of them showing up.
I have to refresh. I had to refresh to see them, T.Wade. I think it's kind of a little StreamYard kind of glitch, but
yeah, because I'm not getting any comments at all.
Oh, that's a good point. A woman can never tell you that your parents failed you. Okay, I've said that.
Really?
I have. I told a man that.
Because
I know mine failed me. I have. I'm just gonna be honest. Because both our parents failed us. I wasn't just singling him out.
But for me,
I sure
did. Them's fighting words.
Well, hey, there it
because is. And the reason I say that is because I was told that by my ex-spouse. And my thing is that, first of all, how do you know that my parents failed me? Were you there when I was growing up? Did you see all the mistakes that I made as a kid and then as a young adult, and then still being and me at 51 years old still learning things from my mother and my father?
But what if you told I don't know if y'all men realize that y'all say a lot of stuff, and some things can be kind of implied. I know it's a strong thing to say. I get that, Fred. But if you're telling your spouse or significant other what has happened in your childhood, and they're basically becoming your therapist now for free, and you're like letting it all hang out, don't you think they can probably come to an opinion that there's some failure there? Because my spouse, I mean, not to get all extra personal, my spouse still has a lot of issues because of his upbringing, and I do too. And there were some definite disconnects there.
Here's my problem with that. Doesn't that, and see, because like you can have, if somebody's failing in a relationship and you tell them that their parents failed you, failed them rather.
Right.
Well, what if their parents didn't fail them? Like, what if everybody's different? So just because, and I say this about like I had a conversation with somebody about the school shootings, the mass shootings in schools.
Right.
And again, it's one of them things where, okay, your parents failed you. Not okay, but what if the individual just took a separate road from what they were taught? Like,
it could be either way. It could be either way.
Right, but if you're saying that, if you're saying that, wow, your parents failed you, you're saying pretty much that the parents didn't do what they were supposed to do with that individual. But if the parents did, and the individual just didn't take the lessons, that doesn't mean the parents failed them, correct?
If the individual said they got failed, why I can't say they got failed?
Oh,
is it like,
okay, well,
I could talk about my mama, but you can't talk about my mama. Is that what we're dealing with? Is that what we're dealing with? I can call her crazy, but you can't call her crazy.
So there's a way to say things to people.
There is.
Without it sounding harsh, without it sounding hurtful, and things of that nature. If you're gonna, and I temper this with extreme caution,
Okay.
Because if you're gonna say that to somebody, just be prepared for the backlash that's gonna come from it. Because again, for me, this is just how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't present when my mom and dad raised me. You
True.
weren't around
But you've
when my mom
chosen
and dad
to
raised me.
confide in that person and give them some play-by-play. So I think when you open your mouth to your mate and you start to be in that vulnerable place of this is what has happened to me, you also got to expect some opinions.
Of course,
They love
no issue
you.
with
That
opinions.
person loves you. And if you tell them, my mama didn't do this, my dad left me here, my mom, told me I was stupid, I'm like, she failed. Biggest link, goodbye.
So, but
I mean, it's
there's a
harsh,
so
but
for me,
dang,
there's a
for
difference between
real.
opinions and nitpicking. When opinions become nitpicking, that becomes
Now
an issue
that,
with
now
me.
that I agree with Fred. I just want us to, and going back to the communication part, because I've had someone approach me about some things that I've said. It's like, but do you know what you tell me? Do you know what
Exactly.
you unleash to me? Do you
Yep.
realize that on a daily
What do
basis, I am the sounding board? So when I come
is
back with
what
an
we choose to
opinion, now
talk.
you say that. That's harsh. Well, I got notes on you right here. I have a whole book of therapy
Is
notes on you.
You're right. It's what we choose to tell our partners that trigger those conversations.
So we have to be, I guess the partner just has to be sensitive in the response, or don't even give one. I guess you
No.
gotta know when to hold them and know when to fold them.
Communication requires speak and speak back,
Okay,
and that can be done. That can be done in a respectful manner.
I
If
agree.
you tell me something and I automatically formulate an opinion in my head,
Mm-hmm.
and I know I'm gonna say something that's gonna be like really scathing or something like that,
Right.
I'm gonna pull back and not say that.
And the tone can have a lot. If she was like, "Your mama failed you," as opposed to, "She didn't do you right, babe." I
Well,
mean,
it sounds like
could
it's in
be.
two different contexts when you said the way that you just explained those two examples you just used. They sound like they're in
Yeah,
two different contracts. Like
Yeah, it's
because I'm
context
learning
is
that
important.
lesson right now.
me too.
With I'm learning that lesson. Like I can be I speak more physically than I do verbally
Okay.
when it comes, especially when it comes to something I don't like. I'm
Okay.
more silent. My silent treatment kills. My silent
Mm,
treatment is it's a killer. It is. Like people hate it around here. Like don't if you get me mad, I'm gonna walk around like I'm mad. I won't say anything. I won't have to slam dishes indoors. I won't have to do any of that. But my physical will tell the story of how I feel on the inside. And what I had to do, what I'm learning how to do right now, my lips are God's ears, what I'm learning how to do is how to communicate, especially when it comes like with my son and my wife. I try to communicate because they may not know what I got going on.
yeah,
So it's
that's
like
good.
let's communicate. Let's use like therapy is a friend of mine.
Me
You know,
too.
my therapist
You
is
some
like,
therapy.
look, you need to communicate. There's nothing wrong with communicating. You cannot hold it in like you're doing because then it's
Yes.
coming out in the physical. So I have to learn how to communicate to where it's received.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it is
Good.
gonna be based on how you say things.
Yes. Because
There's a
I
way
know
to
my
say
mouth,
things.
and I know I can
Yeah.
be a little like, woo. Yeah.
Yeah. Some
So
people speak and they don't care how it comes out. They have a point to prove.
that's it.
And yeah.
What
Yes.
comes up
So
comes
I
out.
prove, and I got everything to prove. Yeah.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it can be a bad thing. And
A
like me,
horrible thing.
I'm headstrong. I'm a leader. I'm headstrong, and if I feel some kind of way about something, I'm just gonna state how this is how it is now. And I just told my wife this, but I've gotten into the habit now. Like when I'm at work,
Mm-hmm.
I just work here, and that kind of what that does is when I'm at work, that stops me from worrying about
Okay.
anybody else and what they're not doing. It's like, you know what? I just work here. Period. I just
Okay.
work here. So then I go about my business. When it comes to my home life, and my wife kind of she felt iffy about how about this concept, but I'm like, I just live here. I just live here. It is what it is. I just
That would
live here.
drive me crazy, T.Wade.
Exactly.
I'm like, what?
Exactly. But
What?
guess what? But guess what? It stops me from going any further. See, because if I don't do that, then I end up physically showing how I feel. I end up worrying about or thinking too much on what it is that's bothering me. Look, I just live here. If you're not gonna take what I'm saying and run with it, or if we're not gonna have a communication about it, and understanding, you know. And at one point, my wife was like, "Well, then that means that makes it look like it's your way or no way at all, and or you
Okay.
can't be happy." And that's
Right.
not what I'm saying per se. Like, but I'm like, in order for me to not have a coronary over it, in order
Right.
for me
I want
to not think on it all day long to where I'm gonna give myself a stroke, I'm just gonna be like, I just live here.
But
You know
that's a
what,
good
Tom?
point, because I'm that person that would be like, we got to deal with this now. And I have to learn how to say, now may not be the time. But I thought about the scripture in the Bible that talks about not to let the sun go down and you're angry. Um,
Yeah,
I
which is
like
true.
to be able to at least say, can we agree to say, if not tonight, let's try tomorrow. I love you. You know, I just hate to go to bed like, huh, give me my blanket, give me my cover. Get off of
But
me.
some, but, but some people, choose to do that.
I don't
Some folks
understand that.
actually choose to do that, sis. Some
And
folks choose to
something
go to bed
happens during the night.
angry and huffing and puffing.
I mean, things can happen to that other person.
Yeah.
And you literally, like,
Tomorrow's
the
not
last
promised.
thing we did was argue about something so stupid, and now they're gone. That scares me.
It
So
does. I'm on the highway every day, so I literally, like, you know, I'm not leaving without giving my wife a kiss goodbye. Like,
see,
I'm
I
gonna let her know I love her. You know what I mean?
love that,
But
bro.
again, it going back to what, going back to what Fred was saying. Like, there's a way to say things, and I'm learning how to say things without necessarily coming off wrong or demanding, or because we as men tend to do that crap too. I'm sorry, we do. So I mean, women do it too, but like it's my way,
Man,
or you know what I mean. It just is what it just is my way. It's my way. Like, you ain't listening. I run the house. I pay the
bro,
bills. I do this, that, and the other. No, no, that's not the
bro,
way that's supposed to be.
I had to learn to pick my battles, pick the
Yeah,
battles I
Yeah,
want to fight,
that's a
and
good thing
then
too.
and then be really cognizant about the battles that I pick to fight, because the minute someone puts a shot over my bow, that's a whole different thing. Because I look at, because that's reciprocal. Because if I was bold enough to do that, to put a
Mhm,
shot over her bow,
mhm.
the expectation is going to be the same thing. That's going to be the expectation, because, well, I said it. I said something stupid. I said something disrespectful. I said something that was mean and hurtful. So
Mhm.
why? So why? So the expectation is, well, why she can do the same thing. But see, and I can only say from my personal experience, I've done that and left it alone, and then wonder why my battleship sunk.
Mm.
Oh, that's why I put a shot across her bow, and she didn't take that too well. And now she returned fire. Like, okay. And I look and I say, well, that's a choice. We choose the battles, we choose the battles that we want to engage in. And when we done when we do that, we have to be prepared for what happens once that battle line is drawn. Because
Yeah,
at that point, it's gonna be it's that person's gonna be in a no win, gonna be either in a no win situation or a winner take all situation. And it's gonna be one or the other.
that's a
And
dangerous thing. And I can be honest, I was real petty in some of the conversations that I had in my marriage.
petty
Uh,
Betty.
because I think T.Wade said it, I had a point to prove. And that's always been
Mhm.
my personality. Even as a kid, some of my friends be like, "Oh my God, here she come. She ready to argue. She's 3 years old and she like arguing." I mean, I've always been the great debater. I've always been the one to go against the grain that will drive a point into the ground. That's just kind of who I am. But in a marriage, that environment is not where you should do that.
Nope,
That
not
creates an
conducive.
antagonistic uh spirit or environment where you're tit for tat and you're trying to hurt each other, and you can't flourish and stay in love in that kind of environment. A lot of time, I will say this: marriage showed me a lot of me that I need to change. It showed me a
Man,
lot
let
about
me tell
things that
you.
I need to address with my communication, with my patience level, with how my tone that I use, my intention, my motives. I hate that it ended, but I do realize that some people just aren't meant to be married. And I'm gonna go on a limb and say this, and y'all could disagree with me if y'all want. I feel a man has to tackle manhood before husbandhood.
Yeah,
I
I think
don't
there needs.
think
I do believe
so.
there needs to be. I do believe there needs to be a understanding, and again, and you're not going to know whether or not you're getting that understanding until you've had conversation, and
Yeah.
you need to understand exactly what it is that you want
Yes.
compared to compared to what is. You need to understand that. And I don't think it's something. Cut it out, guys. I don't think it's a. I don't think it's easy. You have to have that communication.
Right.
You have to have communication and understand it. I mean, like Fred asked a question earlier and I missed it, but it is what is wife material or husband
That's
material?
a good one. Yes.
I believe the answer is very subjective, and it is, which is why I don't normally use that phrase. I more or less use normally I'll say, like she, when it comes to like, what she brings to the table. That's what I
Okay.
use. Is
I like that.
I know what they bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
I know what she brings to the table. You need to know what people bring to the table.
Right.
You know what I mean? You need to know what they bring to the table, and that comes through conversation, relationship, building. You have to build a relationship, and people don't want to do the work
That is
because
so true.
it takes work to
Ooh.
have a relationship, to
Oh,
be in
yes,
a
it does.
relationship, and you have to be able to consider the
Yes.
people that you're with or trying to pair with. Like this isn't something. I think that was why back in the day, um, it was mandatory that you stayed with your partner when you got married
Mm-hmm.
because they didn't want you to enter into it lightly because
Right.
it's a lifelong obligation. We
Absolutely.
weren't we weren't meant to just throw people to the side
Mm-hmm.
if we didn't like the way they cooked our eggs. Like that
See,
wasn't something
that's
that you
good.
do. I don't like how you set how I don't like the sex. Okay, well, you there wasn't a it wasn't meant for us to just throw people to the curb. We were supposed to build. You had to work, and I was taught that you're learning your partner every day. It's something you learn every day.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, you still should know what they bring to the table before you enter into a relationship with them. Do they bring what you need? Not will they bring it in the future. I think I can see them bringing it later on. Like I think we'll be okay in 3 years, because I'll encourage him to do this, that, and the other. That's not how that works. That's not how
Right.
that should work. Because what you're doing, you're wasting time. Now that could have been, and somebody had said it, that could have been somebody else's. You held that person hostage for
Mm.
the whole time that you had them because you didn't get to know them and you didn't supply what they needed. And now you're calling it quits and y'all been together for 5 years. That's 5 years that you or them could have been with somebody else, but you held it hostage on a hope and a dream. And
Wow.
it ended up not being what it was meant to be.
Well,
You know what I mean? So,
how do you address what you bring to the table if you worried about laying on the table?
yeah, well, that's the thing too.
Well, first of all, Kim. Well, first of all, Kim. First of all, instead, can we build the table together instead of just
I
the
mean,
table being regularly built?
people are focused a lot on the physical, and I'm not saying that that doesn't have a place, but in some of these so-called relationships, we're going from "Hi, my name is" to "Your bed or mine."
Yeah, Yeah, and that's
There
a
is
quick
no what
transition.
you bring.
Yeah, that's a quick transition. It is
Very
like
quick.
my wife, like I said, like I told y'all, my wife's been mentioning that it's like we don't date anymore. We go straight from that first night at the bar to somebody's bed, and at that point we're calling it a relationship. Why? Because
Yeah.
well, you already slept with me, so
Yeah, and I would be that one calling it that. Well, when are we getting married? Monday or Tuesday?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
free.
like yeah,
I got a
Yeah,
But
there's
dress.
no
you
more
know,
Got a
courting.
suit. What?
you know, Fred said about when y'all was just a few minutes ago, he said, how about asking, can we build the table together? To
yeah.
that point, Fred, you still got to know what they bring to the table.
What do they
So you
Because
can
you
bring?
got
build
to
it.
know, do they even know how to
Mhm.
build a table? Do they
Yes.
know how to build what it is you try?
Mhm.
We can build a table together, but if they trying to build an octagon and you want to build a round table and
Right.
they don't even know what a hammer and nail is, and you
Yes.
don't know what wood glue is, y'all
Mhm.
can't build nothing. What's it gonna look like? You still
One
got to
has
know.
goals and one don't care.
Yes, are y'all walking on the same path? Are
Equally
we
yoked.
going in the
Equally
same
yoked.
direction? Are you trying to go over here and I'm trying to go over here? We got to know that before we even kiss.
Mhm.
I need
Yes.
to know, and people don't want to ask those hard questions in the
They
beginning. I'm gonna
don't.
say it till I'm under the ground.
Yeah.
Don't nobody want to ask those hard questions in the beginning because,
No.
especially us ladies, we
Yes.
too scared that we gonna scare a man away. I can't tell him I want to
Mhm.
get married. I can't tell him I want to have kids. I can't
Yes.
tell him we ain't having sex until I say I do, because he
Right.
gonna leave me. Well, if he gonna leave you, then he ain't the
He
one
gonna
for
leave
you.
you
Because if those
anyway.
are your
I mean,
standards,
come
let him
on.
go.
Mhm.
Yes. You right
We
on.
we
Right
like
on.
Tony said, we settle. We settle for what we don't want just to have a man. We don't stick to
Yes.
our guns. And women are consistently told our standards are too high. But when a man said he want a 10 with the small waist and the big boobs and the big this and the that, we supposed to give him all of that. But when a woman
Yes.
says, I want a man that could take care of me, I want a man that's a provider, then the man, oh, you're just a gold digger. So what?
See,
I ain't supposed to want my man to take care of the family. How is that being a gold digger?
that's not being a gold digger.
I ain't saying he got to be rich. Every woman that says she wants a provider ain't saying she want a millionaire. She's
Right.
saying she want to make sure that this man is going to provide for the family. You want
Yes.
what's the word? It was just on my head. You want a woman that's gonna do them things, be the word keeps leaving my mind. You want a woman to be the housewife and to do all of this stuff, but you don't want to be
Yes.
the provider. You don't want to be the protector. You don't want to do none of that stuff, but you want her to do what the world
Yes.
says a woman should do. Well, then you do what the man is supposed to do. Get out
Yes.
there and go to work and make sure the bills is paid. Make sure that family is taken care of. Be a
Yes.
shoulder that she can lean on. Be her protector. If she is going through something and she can't lean on your shoulder, dude,
That's
hit the
good.
road.
That's good.
Hit the road. She going through something. She done told you, I feel a particular way, and you're like, what you want me to do?
Right.
Nothing. I want
Right.
you to pack your bag and get up out of here.
Right.
That's what I want you to do.
Make room. Make room.
that
Next.
goes both
Right,
ways.
because you done already told me when times get hard, even if you
ain't.
don't know
Yes.
what to do, like I am not good with death. I do not know what to do when somebody says my aunt died. I am not good with death, but I'm baby. I do not know what to do, so I'm gonna need you to tell me what you need because this is. And I had to have, that was the one thing my mother did tell me, because I had a boyfriend way long time ago and somebody died in his family and he told me and I was like crickets. Like, I don't know. Dude. My mother was like, did he just say so-and-so died and you didn't? I mean, I was a teenager at the time, but I still I was like, you should have invited him over, sat on the porch with him, did something. You know what I mean? So even if you don't know what to do, if your partner is going through something,
Yes.
and that's where that connection comes from.
Yes.
You should be able to tell when they a little bit off. Even when they tell you nothing's wrong, you can look them in the face and be like, yes, there is. But obviously you don't want to talk about it right now. Just know I'm here for you when you're ready to talk about it. And I can be guilty of that. I get mad. Like, I know there's something wrong. You walking around here with your face all screwed up. Ain't nothing wrong with you. Okay, whatever. Ladies, we get mad. We know this. We get mad.
Yeah, we do.
Sometimes they just need space.
That's a lack
What you
of
say,
empathy.
Fred?
That's a lack of empathy.
Yeah.
It can be. Yep, it can be.
No, that's
Sometimes it's
not
a
that's
lack of empathy, and sometimes it's just you don't know what to do.
You just don't know.
You just
Right.
don't know, which is why I said, even when you don't know what to do, just saying I'm here for you shows your empathy. Like, it's not that I don't care that so and so had a family member die. It's just, for me, it's an uncomfortable space, and I don't know how to comfort someone going through that. I don't deal with death well. Period. Somebody dies. Some people get all emotional. Like when my kids get lost in the grocery store, I'm not one of those, oh my God, where's my kid? Oh my God. Like, I just don't get emotional like that. So I don't deal with those things like that. So I'm just like, what am I supposed to do?
But do you see how perception is so powerful?
Yeah.
You just said, Kai, I just don't deal with it well. And then the response was, and I'm not saying it was right or wrong, it's a lack of empathy, but it's not always that. That could be the perception. So that could have been a whole breakup right there. You just ain't empathetic. You don't care. Get out. No, it's just that I don't handle that well.
Right.
Now that we're talking about it, please know I'm sorry about so-and-so passing away. It's just hard for me to deal with that. Or maybe you could be a person who has dealt with so much death that you just can't take much more. You care, but you aren't able to articulate it in a certain way that a person may think is acceptable. So sometimes you got to step back and say, hold on, before I make assumptions, let me see what I'm dealing with. It could just be something is wrong. They don't connect on that. They're not quite able to say it the way. Now me, you're going to get, oh Lord. Jesus! I mean, that's just because I'm a drama queen. I'm gonna be on the floor. I don't even know the person. And I'm rolling around on the floor. Like, LHG, if you don't get up off that floor, come on, girl. That's too much. So you can't always just jump to, ain't no empathy. They don't care. Conversation. Well, honey, you know, when I said that my such and such passed away, I was kind of looking for you to give me a little. Baby, I'm sorry. I don't do well with that. Forgive me. I do care. I got your dinner ready. I did make your favorite pot roast. I did do a church basement pound cake. I just don't do well with certain types of responses. We're all wired differently.
Right.
So that could have been you don't, but no, we gotta hold on before we jump to certain conclusions, y'all. We got to have that discussion and see, well, why didn't she or why didn't he respond in that way? That's a part of the getting to know each other to the core.
Yep. There's some conversations that we don't want to that we don't have anymore that we used to have, 50 years ago. Well, 50 years ago and on, like I said, I'll be 52 this year. So 25 years ago, we was having them we were talking. We need to get back to talking.
Yes.
Get back to dating.
Yeah.
We need to get back because there is no dating anymore. They call it dating, but you're already committed. That's not dating. Like you already in a committed relationship. Like dating used to be talking. That used to be courting. That used to be the time you spent to get to know somebody.
Yes.
Y'all weren't living together already. You know, doing all of this stuff that's already pulling on the emotional strings, and you don't even know
right out the gate.
Person. And once you start living together.
Yep.
You ain't trying to let him go, or you ain't trying to let her go, because that's my boo now. You know what I mean?
Right. We get invested. When we get invested on that level, that's a wrap.
Giving up.
That's a wrap.
We're not giving up. I've already got time and energy invested in you. I'm not letting you go, so now you can go take what I done taught you to the next girl.
No, I made him. I built him. This here, my juke joint. This is my juke joint.
Could I chime in real quick?
Of course.
I just wanted to chime in real quick and speak on a couple of you guys' points. Like what LHG said about sometimes being fed up could be self-inflicted. You know what I mean? With certain things. And that could stem from like you guys were saying about the lack of communication. We don't sit down and talk and put all those cards on the table and talk about everything. And people tend to, I guess, assume or create their own expectations.
Yes.
You know, because they didn't have that conversation. You're expecting certain things from somebody. So now when you don't get that, now, you know, so now when you don't get that, now you're fed up to, you know, but it's your own fault. You know what I mean? Because you didn't have these conversations. So now I realize that sometimes some of your disappointments can be created from your own expectations.
Ooh,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can create your
Yeah.
own disappointments from your own expectations.
That's
And none of
why
us is
I asked.
Miss Cleo. We can't all assume. You got to talk. Conversation is key. Communication is key. We're not Miss Cleo. You know
See,
what I mean?
that's
So
why I asked
communication is
earlier
key.
about expectations. That's why I asked about expectations. Do we expect too much? Do we expect too little?
Sometimes we create our own expectations. Yeah, and maybe that person don't have it in them. And now you here, you stuck.
Come on. They just don't.
And you just invested all this time, 5 years, however many years you invested this time, and a lot of people don't want to leave because it's like, now I got to turn around and take all this energy and invest all this time into somebody else.
Jeez.
Yep.
So some people will settle.
Yeah.
You know,
we don't want to start
but
all
that's
over.
just my perspective.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're going through it again, so we're just gonna settle for it.
That's truth
like
right there.
You got to start, like you said, it disappointment can come from our own expectations. Like, it's communication. If you don't communicate those expectations, how are they going to know? Like you keep saying, they are not Miss Cleo. We are not Miss Cleo. If you have an expectation of a woman that cooks 3 hot meals a day, but you don't tell her just because she say she like to cook, you assume she's going to get.
You better ask more questions. Sardines is not a meal.
You got to tell her what you want. You got to tell him what, like Tony would tell you. I told him, if you don't propose in 2 years, I'm out. I'm not playing
he
house.
Told
I'm
us
not
that.
doing this.
He did say
I
that.
did. I did.
And about the moving. And about the moving too.
And if we don't have no babies by 40, I'm getting my tubes tied. I told him that. Listen.
You weren't playing.
He had issues getting pregnant. He had issues. So we started going through that thing. But then I had some female issues. And the doctor was like, well, I can take care of this. But if y'all still trying to have a baby, I said, I'll be 40 this year. You can go ahead and take care of that. There ain't enough time for you to fix our issues and give me a baby. So y'all, you can go ahead. Like, he knew all of this ahead of time. Like, you got 2 years. If you don't know in 2 years that you want to marry me, it don't make no sense, because I'm not going to
respect that. Who want to waste time? Who want to play around? Yeah. I respect the person who can come in saying, all right, good afternoon, good morning, good night. Here's what's going on. And he was able to receive. That's the key. He was able to receive that guy. And I told him, I said, T.Wade, not every man can take that kind of conversation.
No. And that's what
he knew he wanted you.
Yeah. We
the
fear
problem
that
is the problem is whether the problem is whether they want to have a conversation or not. It's still supposed to happen. So if they don't want to have that conversation, as far as I'm concerned, you don't want to have that conversation about our future and us being together and how we're going to build, then we don't need to be together, because at the end of the day, I'm not running this thing blindly, because in 5 years, we may not be a couple. In 2 years, we may not be a couple, because you chose not to have communication. Without communication, relationships are dead. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that you need communication, because you have to know, like somebody said, who was it, LHG, we are not mind readers. Tasha said it too. We are not mind readers. So
Dominique said it.
Yep.
You the one. That's
with our future.
Yeah. We're not Miss Cleo. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, how am I supposed to know what I'm doing wrong if you ain't telling me? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Talk to me. Let me know.
So
I can fix it.
Right. Exactly. So with that, and half of the things that we go through, we wouldn't be going through if we had the communication prior. We gotta have communication is everything in every instance. And I think we've gone out of that realm. Everybody has their perceptions, their assumptions, their ideas. So the need for conversation is now null and void in a lot of different instances. People are not talking, whether it be relationships, job situations, future, whatever it may be. There's no communication.
So T.Wade, what about the man that comes to the table and says this? I don't want a commitment.
Then you move on if you do.
Getting out of something. And so to those women who get fed up, if that man has told you, from jump.
Stop thinking you can change a man's mind.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
going. That's what I'm getting at. I had
Yeah.
to happen
Stop
to me.
thinking you
I had
can
that happen
change
to
his
me.
mind.
He said to me, "I'm coming out of something that was very serious. I do not want to, in all due respect to you, Latanya, I do not want to get you all set up thinking I'm about to jump in because you're ready. I'm coming out of something. You've been out of something, but I'm telling you now, I want to take my time. I don't want to sleep with you. I just want to be friends." What did I hear? I heard, when you get through putting your feminine wiles on me, Latanya, I'll be whatsoever and whosoever you want me to be. That's what I heard. That ain't
Wow.
what he said. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, we
So
hear
when
what we want to hear.
he
Yep.
stayed true to what he said, and here we are month after month. Okay, am I your girl or not? I ain't ready yet. Okay, are we a couple? Well, did he not tell me that in the beginning? When a
See?
man tells you point blank what he wants and doesn't want, women, you can't be fed up when he told you the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true enough.
Everybody's got to
What was
listen.
up?
Everybody's got to listen. I'm both halves. Like, we got to listen and believe a man when a man tells you what he want or what he don't want. We got to listen. The same thing, like Tony had to listen when I said he had 2 years, and then we got to stick to what we say. Like, if I tell Tony he got 2 years and now it's 2.5 years and we still together and he ain't put no ring on it, and I'm just
There
like,
it
she's
is.
like, well, she wants serious anyway. Let me see how long she gonna keep me until I put a ring on it.
Right.
You know, I told her I don't want no commitment. Why she keep asking me to commit to her? Why do we do that? Oh, I'm gonna make his food, I'm gonna sex him good enough, I'm gonna be the best woman ever, and he gonna want me. He ain't gonna want no other man. Girl, he done told you he don't want no commitment. He ain't saying he's sleeping with a bunch of different women, but he just said, I ain't ready to make a commitment to you yet. But we hear what we want to hear. We think we can change a man's mind, and you can't. Stop thinking that. You can't take people for what they tell you they are.
You just made a point. That's our biggest issue as women. Not all women, but a lot of guys will say that if you do a poll, women could do everything, but listen is their thing. So that's what it is. We chose to hear what we wanted to hear. We don't listen. You know what I mean? I figured if we were listen, then maybe we would, a lot of these issues could be avoided. You know what I mean? I think we just need to listen more.
Yep. We need to listen more. Both halves do. I think guys listen, they just don't believe us. And women listen, but we think we can change a man's mind. So you have those two things going on. Men think, yeah, she ain't serious, and women think, oh, I can change his mind. He don't want kids. He gonna want my babies. You know, like I said, I don't want kids.
If that's the second component to it, if we're gonna have conversation, which we have to have, we also have to be able to listen. And if we don't agree on something, then we need to come to a conclusion to the matter. You don't leave it hanging, because without communication, you don't reach certain points that you need to hit. You don't end up dealing with situations that could come up, because there could be some things that you can deal with, some things you cannot. But we need to converse on that so that there's nobody saying, well, I didn't know, or I didn't understand it, or you never told me. Have the communication and be able to listen. If you're not going to listen, then the communication is useless as well. At this point, I love you all. I want to thank you for joining in with T.Wade on To The Point. I appreciate y'all. We've gone 2 hours and 3 minutes. I thank you all for your opinions. I thank you all for your viewpoints. I thank you all for getting to the point with me. It's been an awesome show. Come back again 2 weeks on Wednesday. We will be doing this again, maybe not on this topic, but we will be talking again, and we will be getting to the point of something that is major, because I don't do petty stuff. I'm trying not to do petty. Nope. We're going to have some in-depth conversations. And I want to thank you all. I love you all. I appreciate you all for tuning in. Be sure to tune in to the other guests that we have, or the other hosts that we have on Trailblazers Radio. It's been an honor to be with you tonight, and I pray that you all have an awesome, awesome night. and a great week. Love you all.
Good night,
Have a good one.
everybody.
Good night.
Do this.